today I'm going to talk about a book that I just finished reading, The Secret of Excalibur by Sahara Foley. I'm extremely mixed on my opinion on this book because it had so many typos in it, so many spelling errors. And I really do wonder whether or not, the wrong proof accidentally got uploaded, because there were quite a lot. Also, it was very hormone driven, lots of hormone dances. It really could have used sexual content warning. I've been called a prude, I've been called, a Victorian schoolmarm, cold dead fish, a lot of hurtful names over the years. But I'm definitely not those things. But there is a time and a place for everything, and all that almost made me put down the book for good. I stuck with it though, because I wanted to get my money's worth out of it. And on one hand, I am glad that I stuck with it, because, some of the stuff in the book was actually rather interesting. But there were also parts that I could have done without. I'm kicking myself a little bit on this one, because a paperback, I could have at least, thumbed through it a bit quicker instead of having to wait for each page to load, to skip. And, well, I didn't skip anything because there wasn't really much of an indication as to how long these scenes were going to take. Again, I'm no prude, despite what people think. But it's definitely not something that would go on a school shelf. Yeah, really needed that rating. Let's see here. Yeah, okay. Some of that stuff was romantic. There's, a scene that is going to haunt me for a while. If you're somebody that has trigger problems reading about sexual intimacy, don't pick up this book. I really don't like giving books a low rating. This one I ended up having to rate as a 3-star on Amazon because of the huge amounts of seemingly gratuitous sex, even though we do find out later there's a reason for it, but also because of the amount of the typos. Whole words swapped out that shouldn't have been. Autocorrect got her hard. Again, though, there are some good parts. For what I did like, it was interesting reading a modern day take on the Arthurian tale. It was set in our era. There were, very recognizable modern things. It was a little bit James Bond, so if you like kind of crossover type things, I do recommend that. Arthur Merlin ends up working for MI6 for a while, has, that sordid affair with Ruth. There's Dr. Tobin or Dobbin, who was some high-ranking mucky-muck. It was a lot of psi activity. Excuse me. And I mean a lot of psi activity. No, this is my coffee, baby. My coffee, baby. I will give you lovin's and pettins, but that's my coffee. Say hello, Thunder. Okay, so glancing at my little reference sheet here. Okay, the interplay between the characters was fairly believable. There were some really funny arguments that I enjoyed. Meow. 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 Yes. Kitten was not too thrilled with book because, you know, Kitten is a kitten and thinks that all attention should be on Kitten. So Kitten probably gives book 2 paws down because, you know, Kitten is Kitten. Again, lots of psi activity. Even though he, you know, was pretty much at God level, there were still checks and balances, which was good. That's, you know, the way things should be. No character is going to be able to control everything. The square beers, I really have to wonder about. There's a huge amount of nuclear stuff going on around the lake, or more accurately, underneath the lake, that throws Arthur Merlin for, you know, quite the loop, and Merlin ends up summoning these square beers that have, you know, the tabs on the wrong side. So if you drink them without a glass, you're going to make a mess. You're going to wear most of your beer. And it was just absolutely hilarious because we got to see his powers kind of deteriorate the longer he was on site. Also, what the Lady of the Lake turned out to be took me by surprise. It was, you know, not what I expected when I picked up the book. There was a bit of a love triangle going on toward the end between Arthur and Ruth and the lady, and this is one of the rare books that I kind of found myself pulling for him to be able to get both women, which is extremely rare for me with my personal issues. So, you know, that part was really well done for me to be able to sympathize with both women. The character of the lady, though, could have used a little bit more development. I would have liked to have, you know, known her a little bit longer. She was just kind of like this space angel kind of thing. So, you know, even though it was interesting, that kind of, there was a little bit of something missing there. Cover was really well done. I will include a picture of the cover. It really impressed me. I finished this last night, so it's kind of... I really would have liked to have given the book a higher rating. I really, really, really would have. I'm not very happy when I have to give a 3-star. I had something and it was gone. Oh, I kind of made up my mind early on in the book what I was probably going to end up rating this book because of the amount of typos. I'm no stranger to them. They managed to get into my works more often than I would like. But it really needed to be read over more carefully after whoever used autocorrect. So, just, ouch, man. I really wanted to like that book, and I did like that book. But ouch. I would look for more of Sahara Foley's works because it was an interesting premise. It could use a bit of polishing, but, you know, all books ultimately are that way, where no author is ever completely satisfied with their own work. So it's kind of understandable that reading somebody else's work, I would kind of be going, eh. As an editor, I'm going more than, I'm going, owie, 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 Yeah. And I don't like that. But the story itself is good. It is an interesting story, especially if you are the type that really likes, the James Bond stuff. Oh, I could recommend this one to my aunt and uncle, except for the typos. Because I have an aunt and uncle that had some James Bond type stuff. But yeah, okay. It's kind of like a cross between James Bond and Arthur. So you got your fantasy romance, and then you got, your psionics thrown in. And of course, Russians. It's got Russians in it. Russian subs. So, Cat has apparently decided that my lap is where it's at. I'm going to have to pause and think a while to figure out what book I'm going to load up next to read, or whether I'm going to grab one from my physical shelf to read and review. I'm probably actually going to read Coral and Bone by Tiffany Duane. I've read it before. I need to read it again because I want to give a proper review, but there's also some stuff that I want to note for her. Very nice lady. I've read some of her previous works and reviewed those. They're on Goodreads if you want to look for me and look at my reviews on Goodreads. So yeah, I think next I'll read Coral and Bone. I've got a couple book trailers I need to do up, so there is other stuff that will be coming, and of course I'm still working on the artwork for the second part of Book of Seals, so that's still forthcoming. Hello, Thunder. So, yes. Sorry for the rambling one, but this one is kind of... You all have a good day.